few months ago, I was talking with a friend about birthdays, and they gave me a perspective that confused me for a bit because it's not something that I've really heard about before. They told me that for them, a birthday isn't necessarily a happy day. And at first, I was like, how how is this a possible perspective? Like, a birthday is the day you were born. It's usually a day you should celebrate. You celebrate getting older. You have friends, presents, people sing happy birthday, all that jazz. And she told me that the reason why she doesn't really enjoy birthdays, or that her birthday isn't really a good day for her, is because every single day on her birthday, instead of looking just at the day in isolation as the day she was born on and that being a cause for celebration, she starts thinking back the past year of her life, what she's accomplished, the regrets that she's had in the past year, the stuff she wished she could have done differently, or even just like just sad thoughts in general, I guess. And at the time, I just thought the perspective, or her perspective, was interesting. Interesting because it's something that I've never really been exposed to. Because I'm pretty lucky, right? All of my birthdays have been either really amazing or pretty good days at worst. Like when I was 14, I got to spend my birthday in Chicago on a trip with my family, going to, I think it was the Museum of Natural History or an aquarium, one of those two. I mean, I'm a huge sucker for museums, so obviously I was like a fucking diabetic in a candy store there. Wait, actually that doesn't sound right. That's the wrong. Okay, fuck it. Anyways, 15, I had a oh my god, that analogy was actually so bad. Anyways, 15, I had a party with my friends. They all came over. I had about 10 friends maybe come over to my house, and I have a pretty big backyard with a nice grill, so we had some good food, chilled, had a lot of fun. I got a lot of good presents. I bought my first ever Valorant skins with an Amazon gift card because you could actually buy those at the time with gift cards. 16 was one of those days where it was just like pretty good because my family was traveling to California for almost like not exactly a summer vacation, but pretty close. So it was pretty uneventful. But I mean, like, you're traveling to somewhere for vacation, so it's got to be at least a pretty good day. 17, I actually don't exactly remember what I was doing on my 17th. I'm going to scroll through my camera roll right now just to see if there's anything. Oh, actually, never mind. I do remember. I was going to my friend's graduation parties. So that was a lot of fun for the class of 2024, high school class of 2024. So overall, that was pretty good day. 18th, 18th was it was crazy, man. I was in Korea for a senior trip with my friends, a group of some of my best friends that we had been planning for years at this point, and we all the summer before, or not the summer, but like a few months before, we decide, fuck it, let's do it. Like, we're gonna commit to this, and we committed to that. And it's still to this day, I think, the most fun traveling like I've ever had in my life. And then 19th came along. I turned 19 2 days ago. And it wasn't a bad day per se. It was just monotone. Like, this summer I'm doing an internship in New York City, which by itself is already pretty amazing. But I remember I woke up that day feeling nothing. I think that's the thing that stood out to me. It was like it didn't really feel like my birthday. There wasn't any really anticipation for it the way I had for other birthdays, because I think with all my other birthdays, either I didn't know what to expect that day, so that naturally creates anticipation, or I already had something super fun planned for that day, and that also creates a lot of positive anticipation. But my 19th was very normal and almost a little bit too normal. Aside from some birthday texts that I got from friends, which is really well appreciated and I'm really grateful for them. I spent the day going to work, and I had just started here, so I actually didn't tell anyone that was my birthday. So I went to work, worked for a good majority of the day, went back home, and fell asleep because I hadn't because I went to bed late the day before, and I suddenly woke up around 11:50 p.m. on that same day, so 10 minutes before midnight, and I was like, damn, like my birthday just passed and I've done nothing. Like today felt like such a forgettable day. And I know, like, right now I sound hella spoiled or like ungrateful. Maybe I come across that way. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying that it was a bad day. I'm just like, I don't know, kind of reflecting. Because like if we take a little bit of a zoom out, my life right now is pretty great. I get to live in New York City for the summer. I'm doing an internship that gives me exposure to so many new things. I'm learning a ton, getting a lot of really cool experiences, being able to do like client facing things, talking to CEOs and shit like that. So it's an incredible experience. But at the same time, like, I also think that after my 19th, what my friend said before honestly holds a lot more merit than, or not holds more merit, but I've been considering it and thinking about it a lot more. Just because I think for the first time in at least a long while, the day that is supposed to be yours or that you're supposed to celebrate, I think for the first time in a while, that day to me has, I don't know. I honestly didn't prepare very well before making this video, but I haven't uploaded in too long, and I wanted to like just talk and kind of release some of my thoughts. And honestly, I'm still trying to think of like a good moral to the story for this, because I think whenever you make a commentary talking about your thoughts, you should always have something that you learn from those thoughts, or at least try to. I mean, that's kind of the point of self-reflection at all, and now I'm just yapping about self-reflection because I'm running out of things to say. Anyways, I think the reason why I wanted to make this video was just to zoom in, but also zoom out on a certain perspective. Because on the micro level, I feel like this, I mean, for a birthday, objectively, compared to all my other ones, it was kind of a shitty day. But at the same time, like, one of my quote-unquote shittier days is still someone else's dream. Like, there are so many people who would fucking, like, kill or die to live in New York City for a summer and to be able to get paid while doing an internship in New York City for the summer. Like, overall, my life is great. I don't want to seem like I'm complaining about, oh, you know, I didn't do anything on my birthday. Although I guess at some level I do kind of want to complain about it, even if it does make me sound spoiled, just because at the same time I do need to acknowledge my own feelings, right? So, because that day, like, originally I had still planned to at least like make a nice dinner for myself or something, and then I ended up just going to bed without eating dinner, so I woke up on an empty stomach. And like I couldn't hang out with any of my friends that do live in New York City because all of them are currently traveling right now. And I don't know, at first, like, I definitely could have told the people at my work that was my birthday, because they're all really nice people. Like, they're all friendly. I get along well with all of them. I get along really well with my boss. And I kept telling myself that like, oh, I just don't want, I don't want anyone to like go out of their way to celebrate my birthday, um, when they don't know me that well, because I've only met these people. I've only known them for a little over a week, right? That'd be really awkward to celebrate a complete stranger's birthday. And I think I soon realized that I wasn't necessarily doing it for them, but more because I was doing it for myself, if that makes sense. And my reasoning still kind of stayed the same, that they would have to celebrate a stranger's birthday. But I think the reason why I didn't tell them was just because I didn't want to have that feeling of, number one, oh, I had to get strangers to celebrate my birthday, not for them, but because like that would feel like I would feel bad. Um, and then like number two, like I know it's probably not, it probably wouldn't be as genuine as I would like. So like overall, like even though it seems like a very unselfish reason, it did end up being quite selfish, but I digress. Anyways, I'm still trying to think of like why I even sat down to record this. Like what's the point of me talking about all this stuff? I think it just honestly reiterates an earlier lesson that I've learned, which is to always zoom out a little bit, or to look at things in perspective. Because like I already reiterated this before, but all of us, hopefully all of us, are living lives that other people would kill to have. Even if your life isn't glamorous, or there's a lot of shit going on. I think some of us sometimes forget that, or we get blinded by short-term things. Because like the worst part of my birthday was that it was too normal. Whereas there's other people in other countries that are fighting off things like disease, hunger, wondering where their next meal will come from, wondering whether they'll still have a shelter tomorrow, you know? Like, so I guess the lesson that I want to give is to have more gratitude. And it's something that I'm definitely still working on as well. Like, there are days where I'm like, man, fuck this, like, fuck my life, I don't want to do this. When there are people, like, I'm kind of rambling now, but I remember I saw a video where an interviewer asked kids what their biggest wish was. And they first asked a bunch of kids from Western countries, from America, and all of them were answering money, like $1 million. I want to be famous, rich, all that stuff. And then they asked people who came from, for lack of a better word, a third world country that had been torn apart by war. And those children were asking for things that they were dreaming about that to us we take for granted. Things as basic as necessities, being able to see their family, stuff like that. So I think we all ought to, instead of trying to focus on only the bad things in our lives, which I know I sound like I'm preaching right now when you know my life is great and your life might not be great. But at the same time, I think it's still important to focus on all the positives in it, regardless, because that's really the only way that we can really keep going, you know? You can't keep going through life only focusing on the negatives of it. Yeah, this is a really, really well thought out video, but it is what it is. I'll see you guys later.